Welcome back to the Renaissance Humanism podcast and audio podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley, and in today's episode, I will be discussing relationship intimacy and sex. To begin with, a fundamental pillar of human intimacy is not sex. Sex can be an enhancement and a deepening of an existing intimacy, but in no way, shape, or form does sex lead to intimacy. It merely leads to a deepening of human connection. This is why if a man engaged in sex, he will feel pretty good, even if it's just casual sex. This is because Western culture and values have repeatedly told women that they can have sex as a man and at the same time experience the same pleasure, but it's nonsense for two main reasons. The first reason, females' drive is much lower than men. Women are like ovens, it takes time for heat up. And for men, in contrast, men are like frying pans. Men get heated up very quickly. And also, a woman, when she's engaged in sexual intercourse with a man, on average, it takes 14 minutes. But if it's self pleasure, this takes about 8 minutes. For a man to reach orgasm, on average, it's 15 minutes. Human intimacy doesn't just happen between couples in a sexual relationship, it happens in families, with children, within any relationship that is truly worth having. No matter who you are, intimacy is a fundamental part of our lives. To be truly intimate with somebody, you must see them, feel them, understand them. What intimacy truly is to take them in and to give yourself to that person entirely. When talking about sex and enhancing the sexual experience and sexual intimacy, it's to build a more robust connection. Sex is not intimacy because having an excellent sexual experience, particularly for a woman, must feel like they are seen and heard and that the other person is taking them in. The problem facing men and women trying to find intimacy is that people try to screw each other to get the desired effect of intimacy through sex that requires communication, honesty, and vulnerability. That's why sex sometimes can seem like an easy way to intimacy. But the truth is, having sex with somebody you don't know can make both people feel like a piece of meat, neglected by the person they are with. So, put simply, sex is not about intimacy in itself. It can lead to intimacy, it can lead to a deepening of feelings, but really to build a connection with somebody, it requires communication, it requires honesty. But the problem is now we've been conditioned that if one waits for a period of 3 to 6 months, then clearly she's not interested in the man. And there is some truth to this as well, because the long for a man, if a woman makes you wait, that's a good thing. For me personally, I don't want a woman to sleep with you immediately on the first date. On the fourth date could be appropriate, or maybe at the most 3 months. But it also depends on the social norms as well, background, the age, your age. But it takes time to build that intimacy. And because it takes time, if you say we're going to wait 3 months, you wait 3 months, you build intimacy, you really get to know one another. And then at the end of that 3 months, she says she doesn't want to sleep with you, or a man says the opposite, same as well. But normally for men like to spread the seed. They like to have many sexual partners. They like to have sex. For women, it's a bit opposite. That they like to have more quality sex, and it requires the building of intimacy. And that's where the two misalign. For a man, on average, they would sleep with anything that moves. For a woman, they won't do anything like that. So there's a sexual mismatch between both partners as well, between both genders and sexes. So we've got that issue as well. And also, again, as I said before, cultural norms. But I've myself, and from a university background, I remember attending to many parties where there tends to be one woman there who sleeps with multiple partners. I remember also going on dating as well, going on dating experience, where going to second date with a woman, a friend tags along, which is probably a bad sign, but I'm not going to go into that. But woman tags along, asks me, have you slept with her already?" kind of thing. He said to me, "Are you having sex?" And that's the social norm. People don't wait anymore. It's seen as waiting. It's seen as a negative experience as well. But what women don't understand that what both parties don't understand is that once you meet somebody for straight away, if you're secure in your emotional attachments, you're not. You know who you are. You're not desperate. You're thinking with your head and with your mind. It could take 6 months or more to actually build a true connection with a person as well. And the truth is, when you first get to know somebody, it can take at least 2 years to actually get to know them. And their friends that have known for years, or parents that have known them since they were babies, seeing them grow and mature into young women and adults, and same with men as well, they're going to know you a lot more than the partner, a person you were dating with, or person you're having sex with. They're going to know you much better than you were actually know the person actually dating. And that's what's so important about building communication and building human intimacy. It's about getting to know that person, getting to know their fears, getting to know who they are, what they're like as a child, what it's like a young teenager, what they're like as an adult woman or as an adult man, understand their fears, understand what makes them feel vulnerable, and also to understand that people are messy as well. Sometimes people don't want to take that kind of information on to understand another person. But everything is not who they are. The same with responsibility as well. For example, this is a common one. Think of mummy or daddy issues. It can be because that parent did something to them as a child, or that, and as an adult, when that person tries to speak to the parent, say, "He didn't hug me as a child. He didn't look do this for me. He didn't do that for me," and I feel like I was neglected. Sometimes the parent can't take that on because it's too much emotion at once, and they're not good at expressing themselves. Or alternatively, they just can't accept it, and they can end up blaming the child in turn, or the adult in turn. That's why people and relationships are very messy. There's nothing more queer than people. When I say queer, I don't mean queer as in the homosexual queer. I mean queer as in people are strange. For myself, I've worked as an interviewer as well. From interview experience, I interview people. I've done door-to-door sales, and I know this might be child friendly. This is exactly child friendly, but there's nothing more bloody weird than people. And the same applies to relationships. People are odd. No matter who you are, it is a factor of life. And that's why it's important to actually try to build intimacy. But once you first met somebody, you don't know them. You're not going to tell them your deepest, darkest secrets, or even reveal to yourself them as well. And that's why that's something to be aware of. As for sexuality, for a man, he has sex. He's pretty much guaranteed an orgasm. I think it's about 99%. For women, when it comes to purely penetrative sex, on average, that's only 30% of the time they will achieve orgasm that way. And for 10% of women, they will never achieve an orgasm by that method. It just is not going to happen for them as well. And also the fact that women, on average, takes about 14 minutes, 80 to feel relaxed. That's the key. Woman's got to feel relaxed. She's got to feel safe. She's got to feel like she's in a loving relationship, and not just a loving relationship, but there's built human connection. That's why, for when it comes to sexual intercourse and engaging in a long-term relationship with a boyfriend, with a woman, whatever, they gotta build the connection, they gotta build the intimacy, and without the intimacy, she's never going to feel safe. That means she's probably not going to enjoy the sexual experience as well. For most women, if they have to have engage in sexual relations and they've got to have alcohol, it's a bad sign. And as for men as well, I would say if you're going to sleep with a woman or engage in that kind of experience, don't have alcohol involved. If you go on a date with somebody and both of you can't function without having alcohol or taking any kinds of substances, that's a negative sign as well. I think that's something to be aware of. I hope you found today's episode interesting. I shall leave the link to my article below, and thank you for your time.